to keep fat off. It's important why we put it on in the first place. All right, to illustrate this, we have 100 calories of almonds and 100 calories of M&Ms. Now, both of these have the same number of calories. However, one's going to be used as fuel in the body and the other is going to be stored as fat, even though they have the same number of calories. You see the problem that we have today? We always hear about calories in and calories out, and counting calories is the key to weight management, yet we're getting fatter and fatter. Fat is important. It's all about survival. Let's go way back. When we first got to this planet, there were no 24-hour drive-thrus or grocery stores. There were no moms or doctors to tell us when and how to eat. There was no one to tell us to eat, so our bodies were designed to survive. The first and most important key to understanding why we make fat is to understand and respect the head honcho in our bodies. This is the brain. The brain is hardwired to keep us alive. It tells us to rest, to play, and most importantly, to eat. To do all of this, the brain needs the steady, constant supply of energy. If you want to control cravings and appetite, you got to keep the brain happy. If you put your brain on an energy roller coaster, you're going to be living your life riding that coaster, right? The ups, downs, and wild turns and screams for your entire life. So, where does the brain get its energy from? Well, it's from our food. But wait, the brain told us to eat, but the grocery bag hasn't been invented yet, right? So we were designed to set out with clubs and rocks and to kill, wild beasts and munch on berries, nuts, and leaves. But the problem was the food wasn't always available, and our brains knew this. Sometimes the animals would hide, sometimes the leaves and berries would shrivel up. So to protect itself, the brain created a system to store any extra food that came into our bodies. So what does stored food become? You guessed it, it's our beloved fat. When food was in large supply, I'm going to say this again, when food was in large supply, we store the extra as fat. So when it was scarce, we could use that fat for energy. So what is this programming and why has it become such a huge problem today? Officially, obesity is the #1 cause of preventable death and disease and continues to become, no pun intended, an ever-expanding problem. Well, our bodies were designed for feast and famine. Consciously, we were all aware that food is available anywhere you want, right? But the primitive part of our brain, the part that controls everything, including fat metabolism, doesn't know that food is just a phone call away. So here's the secret to making your belly go away. When food comes in, it can be used as fuel or it's going to be stored as fat. How does it know what to become? Well, this is all based on the glycemic index of the food. What is glycemic? We've probably all heard about it this time. Well, let's break the word down. Glyc equals sugar and emic is the blood. What food becomes is determined by how fast and how much sugar is brought into the body at one time. Our foods are either high glycemic or low glycemic. So what happens? Well, when we eat or drink anything, it's brought into the stomach to be broken down into teeny tiny pieces that the blood can absorb and transport to be used as fuel, stored, or expelled. To help understand this, let's go back to that illustration with the almonds and M&Ms, right? We have 100 calories of almonds, which are low glycemic, and we have 100 calories of M&Ms, which are the high glycemic. Both same number of calories, but again, one's going to be used as fuel for the body and the other one's going to make you fat, even though they have the same number of calories. That is the problem. Again, we always hear about calories in, calories out. Counting calories is the key to weight management. Well, here's what I want to do. With all the books and information out there, get a huge wheelbarrow, put all the diet books in them, and place them where they belong in the fiction aisle. Common sense tells us that we can't eat a ton of calories and not expect to weigh a ton. But how about all of us that are counting calories and not losing weight? Now you've come to the sweet answer. The almonds are low glycemic. They are full of fat, they're full of proteins, and they're going to take a long time to break down. As the food is slowly digested, the different sugars are slowly released into the bloodstream, ready to be used as energy. But wait, sugar is a huge molecule and it can't get into the cells without its partner, insulin. So the pancreas on the left side of the body has the incredible responsibility of making insulin and releasing it into the bloodstream. Well, sugar is slowly being released and the pancreas is ever so grateful it can keep up with the demand for making insulin. The insulin hooks up with the sugar and now is allowed to enter the cells to be used as energy. Wow, what a ton of work for the body. Think about this. Eat, digest, absorb the food, beat the heart, the lungs, inflate, temperature, all these things. 29 billion new cells are being made. This is crazy. The slow release of constant energy while the body is doing so many things keeps the brain happy and doesn't leave any leftovers. So low glycemic foods are used as fuel to keep Mr. Brain satisfied. So the flip side, how does food become fat? Well, here's where high glycemic rules, right? Remember our little M&Ms? When they get chewed up, they make a ton of sugar, and it's released into the blood, and the pancreas is set to maximum capacity to make a ton of insulin. The poor pancreas is off to the races and eventually will get tired and run out of supplies. But remember, our body is being designed for survival. Well, whenever a huge dose of insulin is released in the body, it's a signal that, we've killed a dinosaur and let the feast begin. We don't know when the next one is going to come around, so save the extra for later. When a bunch of insulin is released, feast mode, there's an enzyme released called LPL. That is the key for opening the doors to our fat cells. See, the body is now programmed to start changing the extra food, not used for energy, into fat and move it into the fat cells and fill them up. We are so well designed for survival that when 2 fat cells fill up and touch, guess what? We make a new one. Yay! Too bad we can't make brain cells, but we can make new fat cells. Yes, I know, life just isn't fair. Now, we have another problem. Mr. Brain is not happy. His energy supply has been locked away. So we start to feel tired. And guess what? You get the signal. Feed me. And boy, are we hungry. That roller coaster ride has begun, and you do not want to stand in its way, right? Here's the deal. The trail to the fridge better not be blocked. High glycemic foods are stored as fat to make us tired, hungry, and cranky. To help you get started on making the right food choices for energy balancing foods, the best low glycemic snack is apples and peanut butter. Now, here's the deal. The worst and highest glycemic snack food are rice cakes. Not only do they have no taste and really don't have any calories, but they make a ton of fat in your body. Now, do you get it? Einstein said you can't solve a problem with the same thinking that created it. Join us at F Off as we share a new way of thinking about health that's fun and makes a ton of sense.